Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to advocate for yourself in a relationship. One of the most important skills that you can have is being able to advocate for yourself, because it means that you respect yourself, you value yourself, and that's how you're going to command the respect of others. Our lives are rich with relationships, whether it be a marriage or a partnership on an intimate level, whether it's a relationship with our coworkers, whether it's a relationship with our children or business partners. All of those relationships are worth it. But it's really important to know how to advocate for yourself and not be a pushover, so you can have all of these wonderful and meaningful relationships in your life. I have 6 different ideas I'd like to tell you about today on how to be an advocate for yourself. One of the first things you need to be is really clear and direct with what you need. A lot of times people hem and haw, they kind of go around what they really want to say. This is not a good way to approach being an advocate for yourself. You need to be clear. You need to be direct. You need to look people right in the eye so that they know you are serious about what your needs and desires are. Part of being clear and direct is setting boundaries. Setting a boundary is knowing what you're willing to put up with and what you're not, and letting that be known. Kind of the line in the sand concept. You're willing to go this far, you're willing to let that other person go so far, but if that line gets crossed, you get to be your own advocate. You get to speak up and say, nope, we're done here. The line's been crossed. That's what a boundary is. I could do a whole video on this next one, but I'm just very quickly going to remind you. It's called I language, using I language. Let me give you an example. If you start a conversation with somebody and you say, you did this, or you did that, or you made me feel this way, that's not I language. I language is saying, I feel, I need, I want. I feel like you're not listening to me, or I need you to come home at 6 o'clock. Whatever that is, use I language. It's how you feel. It's how you think. It's a lot harder for somebody to become defensive or put up barriers when you come from I. If you start with you, they feel like they're being blamed for something and up go the defenses. It's a great communication tool. Fear stops us in our tracks in almost everything we do or want to do. It's very critical that you don't be afraid to be an advocate for yourself. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to say what you need and how you feel. Don't let fear get in your way. So many people live in fear. They live in fear of what people are going to think about them, what people are going to say to them, if they're going to get criticized, if they're going to do something wrong. The list goes on and on. Put fear aside. It does not belong in the arena of being an advocate. You might be asking yourself right now, how do I just get over my fear? Well, it's not easy. I can admit to that. But one of the keys is to ask yourself, well, what is the worst thing that could happen to me if I tell somebody how I feel or what I think? If you look at it rationally, probably not a whole lot of bad things can happen to you. And that's what we're afraid of, right? We're afraid that something awful is going to happen. And we usually blow that out of proportion. So just step back and look at it like, I don't need to be afraid of this. I get to whatever it is. I get to speak my mind. I get to have my opinion. I get to feel the way that I feel. And that will push some of the fear aside. One of the things that can happen when you are advocating for yourself, especially if you haven't done it before, can push back on you because now you're behaving differently than you have. You're not being a pushover anymore, and you're not just going along with what they want. You're saying what you want. And they can sometimes get angry about that, or sometimes even mean about that. If you get in that situation, very quickly set another boundary and say, wait a second, you don't get to talk to me like that. You don't get to be mean to me. And if worse comes to worse, just remove yourself from the situation. Walk out the door. You always have options. You can take up the conversation later when everybody's calmed down, but just remember, you get to feel the way you feel. There is no right or wrong in that. And if somebody is telling you there's something wrong with that, first of all, it's not true. And second of all, you do not have to listen to that. Another thing to consider when you're advocating for yourself is to remember to listen to feedback, listen to the needs of others, because the idea here is not to get into a dictatorship where all of a sudden you're saying, this is the way it needs to be. No, you're entering into an exchange, but you're just being very clear about what you need. But again, somebody, especially that you're in a relationship with, might have some really great ideas, might be able to contribute to something that you've been thinking about or pondering. They may have an opinion that actually really resonates with you and is helpful to you. So just because you're setting boundaries doesn't mean that you have to become rigid and not listen to what anybody else says. Always stay open. Open to receive is how I like to live my life. I'm open to receive. And then when you have the information, you can make informed decisions about what you need, what you think, how you feel. That is the beauty of being your own advocate. What I'd like for you to do now is watch this next video. Why is honesty so important in a relationship?